Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are going to cover a very new topic, that is classical dichotomy. When I say new topic, actually the topic is not new, but still when we haven't discussed this topic in our video section, so we have picked this topic today to discuss more about it. So before going into the depth of the concept, let me tell you that I have done a video regarding the classical pillars and all. So if you could watch that video and come back to this video, that will be very much interesting, and that will be very much encouraging for you to understand the theories or the concept of classical dichotomy much more clearly. So I request all the non-viewers of that particular video, please go and watch that video and then come back to this video, so that you can get a very nice or very clear understanding of this concept. So coming to the concept as such, we could see that classical dichotomy is actually a group. It is a view of classical economics, or we can say that it is actually a view of classical economists or classical school of thought. And this, when I say classical school of thought, it includes many different ideas of many different economists like Adam Smith and all. J.B. Say is also there. So it is a classical school of thought is actually a group of ideas of several economists who support some common arguments. Okay, and all the arguments or the pillars of the classical economics or classical school of thought have been discussed more clearly in the video I have already told you. So if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch that video and then come back to this video to get a much more clear picture of classical dichotomy. Now when I say classical dichotomy, it is something or it is an idea which presumes that output, employment and all the factors related to this which are termed as real variables, and this real variables are independent of financial market. So classical dichotomy means that there is a strict clear-cut watertight compartmentalization between the real variables and financial variables. Or in other words, you could see that there is a clear-cut distinction between money market and real market. When I say real market, it deals with output, employment, etc. When I say money market, it deals with all the financial related transactions. Okay. Now we could see that this kind of distinction would lead to the role of money as being the medium that makes the exchange of commodities more efficient and simpler. That we know, right? It is only with the money that we could make transactions in the economy. And the classical school of thought is something that considered or gives importance to the medium of exchange function of money. As a result, they say that money plays a very important role in the economy, especially in terms of playing the role of medium of exchange. So real variables in the economy are independent of monetary factors, and nominal ones are determined by monetary forces. This is a main argument of classical dichotomy, or this is a main idea of, or the crux of classical dichotomy. When we look into the overview of the topic, we could see that the real variables and nominal variables are separate in classical dichotomy. Or classical dichotomy means that there is a clear-cut distinction between the real variables and nominal variables when we deal with real variables in the real market and nominal variables in the money market. Okay, so here an economy in effect displays classical functioning and all, allowing all the economists in this classical school of thought to study all the real variables such as interest rate, rate of output, etc. and all, considering all. Then on the other side, they consider all the nominal equivalents like the interest rate, money value of output, etc. Okay. So in essence, you could see that there is a clear-cut distinction between the two markets. This is the main idea of, or this is the main crux of the idea of classical dichotomy. And in particular, we could see that this simply means that the real GDP and all the other real variables can be determined without the information about the real, about the level of nominal money supply or the inflation rate in the economy. It says that an economy shows that if money is unbiased, that is if money has a neutral role in the economy, then it influences only the price level, but that it won't affect the actual variables or the real variables in the market. Now, the idea suggests that the real variables are separate or independent of the nominal equivalents, and the main function of the money in the economy is it is acting in order to encourage the exchange or production of goods. For example, an economy contains two sides, real and financial. Okay, and the real side involves real variables, and the other side involves all the financial transactions. Now, the concept of classical dichotomy, it alludes to the idea of financial side of the economy may be heavily influenced by the nominal factors, however the real side would not be influenced by the nominal factors in that manner. Okay, and the real variables rely on the supply side of the economy in this regard. As per classical school of thought. So, in effect, the classical dichotomy suggests that the economic variables can be divided into two groups, nominal variables and real variables, and there is a clear-cut distinction between two markets, that is the real market and money market. And although the prices are nominal variables, so the relative prices are known as the real variables. Okay, and actual production is determined by the productivity, and factor supply is determined by the amount of money in the economy. However, we could see that the value of the nominal variable is set by and is corresponding to the amount of money in the economy. For example, you could see that when money supply doubles, the prices, the wages, etc. would double, while on the other hand, you could see that the real output, employment, real interest rate, real wages, etc. will remain unchanged. Now, linking this classical dichotomy to the sticky inflation situation, you could see that the classical dichotomy is actually based on the assumption that in the long run both the real economy and the nominal economy are different, and this means that the money and the nominal prices do not affect the real variables such as GDP. But you could see that at the same time, you could see that money in the short run cannot be seen as a neutral factor. So, in theory, classical dichotomy won't work in the short run. So, this is another interesting factor that you have to understand. Classical school of thought always believed in the long run economics or long run working of the economy or working of the economy in the long run. So, they were against the short run. Okay. Now, as example, we could see that if the central banks were to raise the nominal interest rate and we assume that the level of inflation is sticky, this will increase the nominal rates, will cause the investment demand to fall, thereby causing the output to fall. And this implies that in the short term, concept of classical dichotomy would not hold. And if you look at the figure, you could understand the same thing. Here on the x-axis you can measure the output, and on the y-axis you measure the interest rate. Okay, so here you would understand how interest rate is adjusting with output, or how output could be adjusted with interest rate. So you could see two different positions of equilibria here. Okay, and this has been explained by using the ISLM concept. I hope you are clear about the ISLM concept. If you are not, then I'll be dealing with the concept of ISLM in a separate video, because that is a bit lengthy topic and you have to understand it much more clearly. Because this single figure won't be enough to explain the ISLM concept. So if you are not clear, please you can give your suggestions regarding which all areas I should cover and all in the Telegram group. I am really happy to explain you all about it. So you are welcome. You can put a comment, or you can request me by just mentioning the topic which you want me to explain. So I'll be explaining that. Now, coming to the neutrality of money and linking the same to classical dichotomy, you can see that the neutrality of money is actually an idea which states that nominal variables such as prices and interest rate, exchange rate, wages, all these things are affected when the stock of money changes, but the real variables are not in fact affected. And the neutral character of money would provide that the central bank cannot directly influence the real variables in the economy. For example, the rate of employment, real GDP size and all. So central bank, it is not directly playing any role, but indirectly we know that central bank is definitely playing a role. And Here also another figure. Here in the first panel you could see the labor market equilibrium situation, and the second panel aggregate output is relating to the price level, and the third one production function is related with output, and the fourth one you could see that the aggregate output. And here you can understand that all these things, whether it is real wage rate or price level or output or the production function or the real income, everything is related. So you can understand that actually you cannot make a clear-cut distinction between the money market and real market. Everything is related, and the concept of neutrality of money is, it can be actually graphically represented, and that is what we have seen in the previous figure. And here M0 denotes the point where the initial stock of money hits the economy, and P is the price level and all. So with that we could end this video. I mean, in short, we could say that the classical dichotomy simply means that there is a clear-cut distinction between the money market and the real market in the economy. All the real variables are dealt separately, or the nominal variables are dealt with separately. So this is the essence of classical dichotomy, and the classical dichotomy is propounded and promoted by the classical school of thought, and this can be considered as one of the pillars of the classical school of thought. So if you want more details, please comment in the Telegram group. I have created Telegram group exclusively for you in order to receive your comments, in order to receive your suggestions, in order to receive your feedback, or in order to receive your requests regarding the videos which I could do. So with that, we can end this video right now, right here. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos.